Greetings, everyone. My name is Travis Bailey. I wanted to kind of get your ear this evening and talk a little bit about fatherhood. And I have a couple of friends with me. And what we're going to do real quick is kind of introduce ourselves and let you know who we are and what we do. And we're just going to get into it. If you're watching and you want to join in, you can comment on the side here. If you want to actually jump into the seat, one of us will probably jump out at some point. And you can come in and show your face and ask a couple of questions. We'd love to have it. This is not a dialogue or conversation for fathers that have it all together. We're all trying to share wisdom on tonight and just kind of grow in what we're blessed to be able to do. So without further ado, I'm going to shift over to Randy. I'm going to get you to open this up. Randy, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, my name's Randy Robbins. Got two kids, 18-year-old daughter who's in first year in East Carolina University, go Pirates, and a 12-year-old son in his 8th grade year at Hope Middle School. I currently am employed with Purdue Pharmaceuticals as a pharmaceutical sales representative in this Eastern North Carolina market.
Cool. Ion?
Good evening, everyone. I am Ion Mitchell. I am the proud father of two young ladies, ages 5 and 2. So one's in kindergarten, one's in preschool. Currently, I am a instructor at North Carolina Central University, where I teach child development and family relations classes. Being a father is one of the most important things I've ever done in my entire life, and I hope that I pray every day that I do it to the best of my ability.
That's what's up, man. And hopefully Rich will be able to get back on real soon. I'm not sure why we can't see him, but so I am a father of 5. I have a blended family. My wife brought a blessing in my son Isaiah. He's 11. I brought a blessing in my daughter Ariana, who's 10, and then we have 3 together. They are 4, 2, and 1. So yeah. I got my hands full. They're great kids, man. We're raising them up in church and, really understanding, trying to help them understand who they are early on. I'm also a preschool teacher. I've been a preschool teacher for about 10 years now. And I'm transitioning out of that. I'm moving more into entrepreneurship. I have a graphic design, and there's Rich. I have a graphic design and web design company that me and my wife run together. And it's been beneficial for our family so far. So my biggest struggle right now is developing time for my family, because I come home from work and I work, and I want to spend more time with them, and I want to get ahead of the game right now and make enough money to be able to take care of them right now, but I don't want to miss anything either. So that's just a little bit about me. I'm also a youth pastor at Restoration Community Church here in Raleigh. And I love those kids, man. I love being able to serve a great group of kids like that. What's up, Chris? Glad you joined. How you doing, Victoria? Glad you joined. But Rich, what we were doing, man, we're just kind of going through and introducing ourselves and kind of telling a little bit about who we are and what we do. So it's actually a show.
Did I miss everybody already? Oh no. Okay. Well, my name's Rich Bees. I have 3 kids. My oldest is in middle school. So I'm a production man. I do audio-visual production. I do logos, graphic design, photography. You name it in the production world, I basically do it. I even do technology, website design, servers, anything technology. If it has a possibility of a computer being in it, then I mess with it. So I mean that's me, I've been married for what? I don't know. I hope my wife ain't watching. I've been married for about 16 years, I think, if I'm not mistaken. It might be more. But I've been with my wife since high school, so it's basically I've been with her forever. We've been through the thick and the thin.
That's what's up, man.
And I'll leave it there.
Rich, you on that cell phone Wi-Fi, ain't you?
Why you say that?
You keep going in and out, man.
Hey, man, I don't know what that is. Because I mean, for me, it's clear all over here. Look, everybody's clear over here.
Yeah, look, I'm gonna send it to you on the replay. So here's the first question for tonight, and then this will help us get going. Think of one thing that you never thought you'd say as a father to your kids. Now I will tell you at work. I'll start there first because I work with kids all day long. I never thought I would tell a kid to take a toy truck out of their tail. Never, I don't care what kind of teaching, what kind of books you open, they did not tell me to be prepared for that. So I'm gonna spin it over to Randy.
Yeah, I think it's something that we all tend to do at this point. Once we get older and we've lived a little bit and had some experiences, I tell my kids all the time, if I were your age and I had to do it all over again, I'd do it totally different than what I did. Because as you get a chance to reflect, you find out that there's maybe some easier roads you could have taken. That there's some different steps you could have taken to make your life easier or end up in a different situation. And I do have to say that, I'm pretty happy with where I ended up. I mean, every road that I've taken has been a learning experience. And so you tend to grow from that. But I remember my parents telling me if I had a chance to do it all over again, I'd do it totally different than what I did before. And even as I took my daughter to orientation at East Carolina, just getting in that dorm room, I just started reflecting on my freshman year in college. And I said, man, if I can do this thing all over again, I'd do things a lot differently. I'll still have some fun, but I'd buckle down in a couple different areas that I passed on when I was in school. But yeah, if I had to do it all over again, ...
I hear that, man. That's yes, sir.
Well, mine's a little more comical, not as serious. I was thinking about a couple of years ago. I told my daughter, I said, sure, we can watch Doc McStuffins, even though Duke and Carolina are playing right now.
Oh.
So just, I mean, before I became a father, wanted to miss Duke Carolina for the world. But since then, it doesn't even really matter anymore.
I hear you. Oh man, that's whew. I felt that one in my heart. Rich.
Hang on. Open up that door.
Y'all good?
I'm here.
I do have you. The problem was I was on mute. I'm so sorry. I didn't even realize I put myself on mute. I didn't sit there and held the whole conversation by myself. Literally. Hey man, listen, I don't understand what's going on with me tonight. It's just all over the place right now. But the one thing, if I had to make one, because you said I have a lot, I know I have a lot, but one. Okay, the one thing is, which I have to tell my kids, which I never thought I would, do not smoke weed.
Yeah,
that's really that's the biggest one for me. Back in the day, it was serious. Hey man, listen, I'm honest. I'm honest on social media. Right. I'm honest out in the streets.
Hey, I mean, you got to be honest, man, and that's what we going for tonight. That's what we're looking for.
To Randy, because what he said about making decisions point faster, you know what I mean? I could get to the point that I am now actually faster, probably a little bit earlier in my life. So I think that weed slows down that process because you start to get complacent. You start to just kind of chill out, hang out, and yeah, everything's all good. You know what I'm saying? But if you would have changed that part, you probably would have kept going and kept rolling and getting it. And, you know what I'm saying? So don't do that.
See, y'all,
And
y'all,
you
y'all
probably
got,
go
you know,
fall.
y'all got real dad issues. Like my kids are still young, you know, and my son just started middle school this year, and that's been, you know, a little bit different of an experience to kind of talk him through. You know, elementary school, he could have his homework done by the time he get home from work. I mean, from school. But you know, now, you know, I was up working last night on somebody's website, and I come around the corner, he's got stuff strawed all out across the floor, you know, doing work, and I'm like, yeah, you have arrived, sir. But so what I also wanted to do was just kind of gain a little bit of insight about how you guys manage your day to day, how you are able to provide for your family, and also thanks, Mike, for the retweet. You provide for your family, and also you're able to be there for your child at the same time. And if we, I know we're breaking order a little bit about, I want to really start with Ion on that one.
Okay. I have to really be intentional about it because not only, you know, do I work and have a wife and kids, I'm also in a PhD program. And it's just been quite, I guess, stressful to manage my time. But what I do is I make a attempt every single day to spend quality time with my daughters, even if it's just reading them a story every night before they go to sleep. A lot of times I don't feel like it. I'm tired. You know, I'm working off of 4 or 5 hours worth of sleep, but I still have to give them that quality time because I guess one of the things, I didn't grow up with a father in my life, and so I just didn't know what it was like to get male attention, and because of that, then you know, I just go above and beyond as much as I can just to make sure that we just, you know, just spend quality time together. You know, it's hard. It's extremely hard. Now, I got a part-time job too, as well as my full-time job. So, you know, I'm busy around the clock. But before I go to sleep every night, I definitely try to at least give at least 30 minutes to an hour every night or every day, you know, with just that quality time.
That's I feel you on that 100%.
Yeah, I think you have to just make sure you're carving out time um, every single day. And my wife and I, we kind of share some of the duties. I'm the homework guy. You know, I do the math and the science, and she does the reading and the writing and that kind of stuff. So um, even if it's just homework, it's just quality time. Because they know if you're putting some time at the dinner table or at whatever table you do your homework, they know if you're spending that time, then you are in fact want them to succeed. So um, just instilling those habits early. I too didn't grow up with a father in my house, and luckily I had a strong mom that was mom and dad for me. And sometimes I overcompensate with my kids too, but you know, if they have a need, I try to fulfill it. I want them to know they can depend on me at any time. And you know, sometimes I travel a lot, and if I'm out of town, I'm just a FaceTime away. You know, they can see my face, and I'm gonna handle it the best I can when I'm out of town. I think a lot of times I put some of the things I like to do on the back burner to make sure, you know, I'm spending that time with them. My son's become an avid motocross rider. He likes to ride dirt bikes. I never owned one. I have one now because that's another thing we can do together on some Saturdays. You know, I'd rather watch football. He'd rather ride his dirt bike. So he got one. I got one that matches his. So not only we look alike here, our bikes look alike too.
That's awesome, man. That's really awesome. I mean, I really appreciate you guys sharing that. And just as a side note, and I hope he doesn't mind me saying, there's a young man on with us. His name is Chris, and he's actually about to welcome his first child into the world. He kind of grew up in church with me and everything. He's a really good guy. He's a really grounded guy. He's actually an alumni, and he just posted the question. Chris, I'm gonna hold your question. I'm gonna let Rich give his spiel, and then we're gonna get to your question.
Ooh, what's this spell? um, I mean, Randy and all.
Oh, you in there?
The truth is about, you know, what can I do? You know, I do is I pick them up from school every day. You know what I'm saying? So I'm the same. I keep it straight 100 no matter what. We talk about some of everything. And so over the years, it's been the same way. I just constantly, you know, give them things. But I did a periscope about this the other day because it's about a two-way conversation with your kids. You know what I mean? That kind of where you constantly just telling them your way, your thought process, blah, blah, blah. You got to start letting them be able to think for themselves. So it's like you're trying to be independent thinkers, and for them to be able to take the information that is coming in from the outside, process it, and then handle it appropriately. You know what I'm saying? And so you have to help them to think through that process. The teacher to understand how to give you back something to have that two-way dialogue. And once you can do that and get them to master that, then they'll be successful in life because they'll know how to use that information to their benefit.
I'm with it. I'm with it. Real quick, I want to welcome RJ and Fathers Forever. Thank y'all for joining. Chris posted a question, and Ion also posted one after him. Chris's question was: any advice for a new father, unmarried? Let me see, unmarried and single, but maintaining the friendship with the mother. Bruh, can I just jump real first and tell you that I've been there. I know what that's like. However, it seems to be that you have an advantage because you guys are actually friends. My daughter just turned 10 last Sunday, and I think me and her mom are just really arriving to a place where we can have a decent relationship. You know, there's been some very rocky moments in our acquaintance relationship. We're just really getting to the place to understand that, you know, it's really about the best for our daughter. You know, my daughter is 10. She has an explosive personality. She loves people. She loves being around new people. She don't hide any secrets. You know, whatever she wants to share, she shares. And, you know, I had to kind of come to terms with, you know, the idea of stepfatherhood. You know, I had to really say, you know, this is a real reality. You know, one day, because she and I aren't together, you know, somebody really could be spending more time with my child, and that was something I didn't want to deal with. So I really had to, after a lot of prayer and a lot of, you know, really trying to understand the dynamic of my life. You know, I kind of finally bend and say, you know what, I'm doing the best I can for my child. You know, I'm gonna continue to do the best I can for my child. And, you know, I'm there. I'm doing everything. I had the opportunity to be in her life when she was born. From the minute she was born and she grabbed my hand, I was there. So, you know, I'm not sure how your dynamic is going to work with you guys, you know, not being together, but it's definitely worth having that open dialogue and conversation about your expectations and how active you're going to be. Because I know you, and I know you're going to be active.
Yeah, I think what you said initially is the key here, and that it's the child that should be center and should be the focus. Even if both parents are together, you definitely can learn how to co-parent for the best benefit of that child. I think any two good parents understand that, and typically on the same page when it comes to the needs of the child. It does become difficult when you live in separate households, and maybe there's a difference in opinion. But ultimately, if both parents are on the same page in terms of what the child needs, there's going to have to be some compromise. but just the end result is the child and what their needs are.
We have one more question from Randy. It's from Ryan. Excuse me, for Randy and Ayan. What man or men was or is in your lives that taught you about fatherhood?
Well, I answered that partly, but I just try to pattern my life after people who I think are good fathers. What is a good father? I don't know. What I did do though, so that I could, I guess, share my life with my child and other men that I knew that had kids, is I started an organization called the Triangle Fatherhood Club. And my organization is it's for young kids to spend time with their fathers, but we all do it in a group setting. And we may just do something as simple as a meetup or outing. Our motto is active, engaged, and present. Present, active, engaged. And so I really feel that for a father, first you got to be there, so you got to be present, you got to be active, you got to be engaged. And if you do those three things, then that good father thing is just going to follow you wherever you go. It's almost impossible to me not to be, a successful dad if you are present, active, and engaged. It's almost impossible not to do that.
Yeah, I think for me, luckily my mom had multiple brothers. I've got maybe 6 uncles who were very influential. So I got a chance, even though we didn't live in the same house, we were close as a family. So I got a chance to see how it was supposed to be done. I got a chance to grow up with some cousins that had the families and they had their fathers in their home, and I saw the way they interacted with them. So I picked up a lot of it from them, because there were also some male figures in my life that if I'd have followed them, I'd have gone down the wrong path. So even as a youngster, we're so influential that we could take either path. But when I got on the crooked path, there was always mom to get me back straight and let me know which ones I need to follow. But yeah, I'd say my uncles, for the most part, would show me.
I want to keep reading these questions because these are really driving us tonight. Let's see. There it is. Upgrade to me. Okay, so what happens when you have a scheduling conflict? How do you prioritize? Now, this is a real reality in my life. Right now, my family and I are operating off of one car. And so, my son's middle school hours are insane. He has to be there at 7:45. He gets out at 3. I have to work from 9 to 6 on my full time, and my job is probably 12 minutes. I think we counted 12 minutes from his school. So I'm at work an hour before I have to be, working on my business stuff when I can, when someone's not pulling to get me started. But sometimes when they pick him up from school, they have to go somewhere and hang out a little bit because his school is so close to my job. It doesn't make sense always to go all the way back home. And so sometimes they do things, they go out to the park, so they, walk around the mall, do things like that. And sometimes they end up just waiting in the parking lot. Now that may be, that's obviously not the most ideal thing, because I want my family to be comfortable and be able to be where they're going to be, where they want to be. But the reality is right now we have to understand where we are and how important it is for my wife and I to communicate based on our schedules, to make sure that we're making time for our kids, to make sure that our kids know we're making time for them. One big thing in our house is communication. My wife and I, we have a rule where if one of us is getting frustrated, we tell each other, and then we kind of walk away and come back to the table when we're calm. And that's helped us talk through a lot of situations with, for lack of better words, the other parents. That's kind of helped us to kind of come back to the table with a level mind and say, this is what needs to happen. My oldest daughter, I see her every other weekend. And so every other weekend, I'm packing everything up in Raleigh, flying down the highway to Durham to pick her up, come back and join her with the rest of my family, and acclimate her off of, what she's been missing when she's not been with us. So to this point, we have a schedule in place, and things happen, but both, I have tried to be as flexible as I can be. My wife is amazing. She stays home and takes care of all our kids while I'm out here working and trying to take care of things. So it's an absolute blessing. And the biggest piece of that has been communication. You have to establish a plan and you have to stick with it. All right, let's see. And y'all can take this next one. The greatest says, how do you respond when you find out, when your 2-year-old isn't yours? Wow.
You take a deep breath.
I guess I'll respond to that. I guess I have a friend that's kind of dealing with that. And my advice would be, if you've been in the 2-year-old's life since the baby was born, then I guess you kind of are the father, especially if you've really been active in the child's life. And even though you may desire to step away, that child, knows you as dad or knows you as the male figure in their life. And even though it may hurt or you may be angry or disgusted, that child is still, in need of your presence. And, I don't know the dynamics between you and the child's mother, but, the child is definitely, I guess, where the focus should be. I know another brother that he was in a similar situation and he just totally removed himself from the situation. And, ultimately the child suffered because, the man he thought was his father is not. And, now it is. Now he's, wondering, well, who is my dad? So if you can, if God lays it on your heart, definitely, just try to stay involved as much as possible. That's my advice.
Man, y'all are rocking and rolling tonight. These are really good. How do you turn it around and finish strong as a father? Rich, are you still there, man?
Yeah, you can't see me still?
Frozen.
All we see is a black box, but it's okay, man. We got your voice clear, so let's rock with it.
I don't know. All right. What was the question? I'm sorry. How do you turn it around and
as a father
finish as a strong father? Turn it around from what is my question? Father now, to me, whenever you're parenting, you parent from else was because at that moment, you know what I mean? Like
Richie,
down it.
You're going in and out, man.
I'm sorry.
We're gonna give Rich a minute to refresh and see if it works for him. Let's see. Anybody else want to try to tackle that question? How to turn it around? I'm assuming that it comes from a place of not doing a whole lot to wanting to do more. Is that right, Mike?
Yeah. I'll chime in on this. I think nobody's perfect. I mean, we've all made mistakes. And like we discussed really early on in this conversation, that none of us are perfect fathers here, but I try to do the very best every single day. Even if I'm not been at my best, I know tomorrow's a new day. It's kind of like, and I reference everything to sports and football, but it's kind of like being a cornerback. You'll get beat on a 70-yard touchdown pass, but you've got to have a short memory. That was the last drive. It's over. Today's a new day. So I think if you wake up every day wanting to be a little bit better than you were yesterday, and the mistakes you made yesterday, just try not to repeat those. The kids can tell when you're sincere.
That's right.
I mean, I can take I can take a look at my kids, and I can look in their eyes and almost see to their souls, so to speak. And I can tell when they're asking for more. Their eyes just look hungry. So I try to give them what they need. I try to feed them what they need. And if I do something wrong and the eyes are telling me, you really hurt me, upset me, then I apologize. But ultimately, it's for the best for my kids. And I made plenty of mistakes, and I'm gonna make plenty more. But that was yesterday.
Right,
Today's a new day.
Welcome. What's your legal name? So I won't call you fathers forever.
Glenn.
Glenn. Hi, nice to meet you, Glenn. Tell us a little bit about yourself, man.
Hi, my name is Glenn Warren. I'm from Raleigh. I see you are too. Travis, I think, yeah. I have a nonprofit in Raleigh called Fathers Forever, where we help guys who are at risk of going to jail for non-child support. We'll send them to our program. We take them to a 24-week crash course in fatherhood.
That's awesome, man. That's really needed.
Yeah. We've been 95% of our guys are court ordered. They have to come. If they don't come, they can go to jail. And we've had 12 graduations, 280 guys who graduated. 80% of them now graduate with jobs, relationship restored. They're spending time with their ex-wife, they're getting along. And what you guys are saying is so important about co-parenting and being able to work together as parents. You're no longer a couple, but you got 2 kids, 5 kids, or whatever, and you have to co-parent and work together to make that work, because the kids are the most important thing.
Absolutely right, man. And you know, it's funny that you asked the question about why men don't like to pay child support. And the thing for me was, because I pay child support for my oldest daughter. The thing for me was the negative connotation that comes with it. It kind of says to your manhood that you're not doing what you should be doing to take care of the child. And because you can't make conscious decisions on how to take care of your child, I am going to reach my hand into your wallet and make the decision for you. That was very hard for me, you know, as somebody that feels like, you know, I've been there for my child from the beginning. You know, when things fell apart, I picked up with my child and I left. You know, I've been there from the beginning, and so this was hard for me to stomach because, you know, me. I mean, I've been there. You know, so but now I understand that, you know, even though I can't see where it's going now, and I can't even really worry about where it's going, that part of my obligation is met. I still spend time with her. I still do everything I can with her and all my kids. And so that's a very real and scary thing for a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. We in court 3 days a week, and we see these guys come in, and a lot of them struggling financially. They got criminal records. They can't find good jobs. 85% of the guys that go through our program, they're not deadbeat dads. Now, there are some deadbeat dads out there, trust me. But a lot of guys are there because perhaps they made some poor choices. Now they got a criminal record. They can't find a job. And they get behind the child support. So this is alternative. Instead of putting them in jail, is to work with them and help them be able to get them some skills to co-parent. At the same time, you know, help them look for jobs. And those are the things that's important, because it takes both the man and the woman working together. We give them a lot of skills on how to get along with her. So we got to respect her. You know, dismiss her. She's not going anywhere. You're not going anywhere. The child is not going anywhere. So you guys got to realize you got to get along, and as parents, and it's very exciting to see. You know, these guys. A lot of the guys are angry. They're mad. They're bitter, and sometimes they got good reasons. You know, but child support system not always father friendly. We've been there for a while, and we see how sometimes these men have been treated. Everybody get thrown into the same category. Like I said, there are some deadbeat dads out there, but there are some guys out there who really try. But everybody get thrown in the same category. So our job is to help them prepare themselves to come to court, and to help them make some decisions. You know, that it's not about fighting her. It's really about working as a parent together, and it's a great need for it. And I'm excited about doing it. I'm glad you guys are talking about this subject because this is something that we've got to fix, and that is fatherhood.
Yeah, man.
You know, Travis, I'm gonna give my seat up so somebody else can jump in. But before I sign off, I wanted to say that I was looking on Facebook and I saw a post that said that that men, especially black men or minority men, we've made so many things cool. We made selling drugs cool. We made going to jail cool. We made how we walk cool. We made how we talk cool. But what we haven't not made cool yet is being a father or being a family man.
Absolutely.
And so I really feel that, you know, if I don't know the answer to this, but especially for our younger brothers, you know, this fatherhood thing has got to be cool for a lot of men to buy into it because, you know, right now, being a father or being a family man, you know, media or the streets, you know, they say that you should do everything except do that. Or, you know, they portray, you know, fathers as being weak sometimes. But if we could somehow, I guess, figure out how to make this thing, you know, cool, I really believe we could change. We could change our community.
Yeah.
We could change the whole world.
Dude, that's awesome, man. Yeah, man. Look, where's my notepad? I'm tripping. That's awesome, man. Hey, you don't have to leave, man, but you can hang around if you want to give.
Oh yeah, I'm not gonna leave. I'm just gonna give my seat to somebody else. Okay. So I'm gonna still be here. I'm just gonna give the seat to somebody else. Though.
Okay, cool.
Somebody else may want to chime in.
Cool.
All right.
Let me see. Let's get back to the line in the question. Hey, oh, there we go. I want to. Let's see. What are some factors that can hinder you from being a great father, even with a supportive wife? Your schedule. Your schedule can be the number one reason why, even with a great wife like I have, you can fall by the wayside. If you don't have the timing and the planning in your life to make time for your children, to allow them to feel like they are a part of your life, you're losing that battle. Every day I come home, you know, I work in the childcare center, so every day I come home, the first thing I want to do is take everything off because I don't have kids sneeze and burp on me all day long, and you know I don't want to rub that on my kids. But once I get in a comfortable place, I take like an hour and a half, and I really just play with my kids. You know, sometimes you know I'm playing hide and seek, and I might take a nap, but you know I'm trying to make sure that I'm spending time with them, and that they know that okay, daddy's home, we can play a little bit. And there's also a balance with it because I know that because I own my own business, you know, once they go to bed, it's time for me to come back down to the garage or to the office and start getting it in. I'm talking about you. So Rich, the question is, what are some things that can hinder you from being the father?
Can you hear me now? Am I stuttering or anything? Let me know. Okay. Really, things that can hinder you from being a father is really your own mind, your own choices. You know. I don't think decisions you make would cause you not to be a father. You know, if you're putting things before your kids, before your family, then you know. It's your personal decision. Only circumstances that can keep you away from your family is either being dead or in jail, really. You know, because other than that, it's literally take care of my kids. Then that's it. It's done. Do what you need to do, whatever that may consist of, to take care of them. You know, but a lot of times, even taking care of them means that you have to make, if you are not around for them, then how can you be a father around for them to see them have kids? You know, I want to be around my grandkids. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that's the care of yourself, your health, your mental, your body, your mental health, and your spiritual self. You know what I mean? You have to get all of that together. And once you do that, then you can continue to grow and you can impart the correct things to them also, you know, because we have to be the spiritual leader, but just a leader in your house. And a leader is not the person that just sits there and demands people to do things and, you know, whips the belt whenever you need to, you know, start cracking at people. You know what I mean? That's not what the backseat, you know, and you're still guiding, you're still guiding, you're still shepherding them, you know, if in the form of being a priest, you know, you're still shepherding them, but you're more so, you know, doing suggestive leading, so, you know, persuasive communication, you know, you're giving them the ability to choose right or wrong, you know, and but that's the same thing that we have to do on a daily basis when you go out in the streets and you make those choices to get a job that, you know, takes you away from your family forever. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, I got to go to Iraq. Okay, yeah, I might get, you know, $150,000 this year, you know, for going to Iraq and putting myself at harm, you know, in danger. But the thing about it is, if I make that decision, and if I make it through that year, then okay, I'll come back and maybe have some finances going on. But then I might also come back to one of my kids being killed because of the fact that I wasn't there to protect them. So, I mean, you got, you know what I mean? Like, those are big decisions. You have choices that you have to make. And I don't think that, you know, if you really think about it, it's like, I don't want to be gone. I don't want to be, you know, not if I can help it. I don't want to be away from them, you know, longer than maybe a weekend. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I agree.
I think I agree everything that you said, Rich, and these are good questions. I believe that some men don't necessarily know what it is to be a father. They don't, you know, a lot of times because their father wasn't there for them. And I think that the important thing is knowing who we are as fathers, knowing what we bring to the table, knowing the impact that we have on our kids' lives, being present, being there for them, choosing and making the decision to do the right thing by them. And a lot of times, because there's so much absentees in fathers, we teach a class on statistics, and we talk about the number of kids who go to bed at night without their father, and the devastation effect that they have on our community. And sometimes it's because fathers don't know who they are. And again, if you haven't been fathered yourself, if you grew up in a household without your father, that plays an important part. And there's a lot of households across America that fathers are absent. And unfortunately, especially in the Black community. And I don't know, a few years ago, I think somebody asked a question about a legacy. But legacy, and fatherhood was a legacy in the community. You know, the neighborhood took care of fathers was there. The mom and dad may not got along so well, but they stayed with their family. They were there. And, that's my dad's generation. My generation is kind of falling off a little bit, but my son's generation, it is almost, not non-existent, but it's like, they have no clue of what it is to be a father. And one of the classes that we teach, one of the things that I write about is girls get it and boys don't. Because sometimes girls get this, mom is modeling what mom's supposed to be like from the time they're little kids. They're playing with the baby doll. She's showing them how to comb the baby doll hair. She's showing them what to do. The little girl go older. Mama take her to the store, try to training bra, teach her what happens with little girls when, certain things of the month come on. Mama's there teaching that. When she gets old enough, mama doesn't teach her how to feed her husband and how to dress clothes and all that stuff. And then, then she get married. Mama's there to teach her, and she get pregnant. Mama's there to teach her how to be a mom. The difference between a baby cry, a wet cry, and a hungry cry. Well, let's flip the switch at the little boys. Dad is not there a lot of times, and they have no clue what it is to be. Dad is not teaching them what it is to be a boy. At the end of the story, I said they got two guns, one in the back of their pants and one in the front of their pants. The back of the pants is it's a 22, it's a 38. and nobody teach them how to use that one, and nobody teach them how to use the one in the front of their pants. Because now they're doing a drive-by, they're shooting people, and in the front of their pants, they're having a baby before they 3 or 4 babies before they're 25. Because nobody, we're not there as fathers.
But that's a drive-by too.
Teach these men. Yeah, exactly. We do a drive-by. But nobody's teaching us. They're teaching these young boys, how to play with their toys and when it's time to put them away. And it's amazing. And we've got to step up to the plate as fathers. I appreciate you guys for doing this. And starting this narrative about change and making it fun. I think somebody said earlier, fatherhood is cool.
That's a great point. I think you mentioned some research, but everywhere you look, young men, they learn accountability from their fathers, and young women, they learn love from their fathers. Without a father, here it is, you have a generation of young women with low self-esteem. They're trying to fill that void. So, they may participate in adverse behavior to try to fill that void. The same thing with accountability for men. We have to fill that void too. So therefore we turn to our friends, we turn to gangs.
Yes.
Here it is. Yes. Men and women both are basically off course or off track because the father is not there. And really, that's a great point. Awesome point.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So we've gotta somehow, and I think with a lot of conversations, with a lot of men start coming together, we could change the whole narrative of fatherhood. Really, when you come down to getting funds and getting money for fatherhood programs, there's very few in between. There's a whole lot of programs for women and men, women and kids. And I understand that, but men need help too. We need a lot of help. And we got to sound the alarm. We got to get out there and toot the horn and really make people understand that you got to invest in the men. We're the foundation. Everything is really, and I don't want to get spiritual, but you want to go all back to the Bible. Everything was built on Adam. And so and I know women have rights. I'm not a chauvinist, but we've got to fix the foundation. As the foundation in the house is crumbling, is cracking. You got to condemn the whole building.
You can't build it on sand.
So society is the same way. We've got to fix the foundation. We are the foundation. Unless we can fix it, and we see it in our society. So I'm really encouraged about this conversation, guys, that it's really a good thing that, and I'm gonna get off and let other people join because I can talk about this.
Man, hey, listen, I think just for before if you don't have to get up, but I want you to know that we appreciate your wisdom, man. That's what this whole thing is based off of. I'm a father in a very young family, in a blended family, and I'm listening and taking notes. This is the kind of things that we need to be able to say in our communities. These are the kind of insight that we need to have when we step out here and we're trying to do this type of thing, because all I know is this is what God put on my heart. This is what I want to do. This is what I want to share, but I don't know it all. So there's obviously something for me to gain too. And I love this dialogue. I really, really do. One thing that I really wanted to tackle before we pass on to anything else was legacy. I am trying my hardest to make sure that I am focused on the legacy for my children. At the same time, I want to be able to make sure that legacy doesn't take me away from spending time with them. Right now, I went to school as a theater major. And the first day I got there, my counselor said, well, look, do you plan on moving to LA or to New York? And I said, well, no, I'm from a small town. That's too much for me. And she said, well, you might need to try something else. Who were the people in your life that meant a lot to you? And I named off, my youth pastor and my dad and, a couple people like that. And I ended up going into education, and I've been working in education ever since. But now after 10 years, I still love it, but I'm tired. And, the more that, I go into education and being in this place where I'm tired, I start looking for other things. And now I'm like, man, if I had just, really stretched myself in undergrad, I could have got a minor in graphic design and I could have a leg up on what I'm doing with my business on the side. And so I'm trying to put my kids in the place right now where even though you're young, you don't have to commit to being a doctor or a lawyer. or this or that or the third. I want them to really explore as a young person the things that are out there, really understanding that, you're not just limited to certain genres and certain areas, certain fields. If I had known I was going to love graphic design as much as I do right now, oh my God, I would have totally studied it in school. But that's the kind of things I'm trying to teach my kids now: responsibility, manhood, legacy, and really just understanding who they are.
Well, you know what? If I can jump in real quick, so it's really up to a father to give them the understanding of who they are. So if a father is paying attention to his children, then you will listen to your children. You'll see their talents, you'll see their giftings, you'll see their strengths, you'll see their weaknesses, and you help to build those weaknesses, and you help for them to master those talents or gifts. Okay. So then once you do that, then you can point them like an arrow right at the target. And they won't have to go either other way, because you've already, I know what you're good at, because first of all, you're a product of me, right? So if you're a product of me, then you're like a weapon, like a tool on my tool belt, right? So now I'm going to help to guide, give you a platform higher than my shoulders, I will. But if I can only get you to my shoulders, at least you'll have a good place of being able to start from my shoulders.
Man, you better preach.
But if a father is not in their children's life, then they're not able to see those things, that their gifts, talents, strengths, and be able to guide that, right. Because I can speak from a situation where with my 3 kids, I know basically what all of my kids are good at and what they're not so good at, right? And so I take that stuff that they're good at, come to find out, it just so happens that they're parts of my business. Mm-hmm. So now I can give them the experience even before they went to school for it, right? So now when they go to school, they'll be more advanced in school. They'll understand the processes more, and then once they graduate, they'll graduate higher in their class, all because they had a father who understood what they were good at and helped to guide them there. That doesn't mean that you know how to do that thing that they're good at. It means that you provide them with the resources and the tools that they need to be successful in that endeavor. That's how you guide that arrow.
Right. That's I totally agree with that, Rich. That's perfect. Legacy is one of the classes that we teach is legacy, and actually, guys get kind of freaked out because I use one of the handouts of legacy as my father's obituary. And I bring that in, and we look at through his obituary, and I talk about his life, and I talk about what his impact in my life, and how it causes me to go to the direction that I'm going. I also talked about the conflict that I had with him, and how as a young man, I thought I knew who I was and was trying to make my own way. But I also look back on my life, and I found out if my father wasn't there, and I know 2 or 3, and I use this a lot, 2 or 3 situations that I would have been in jail had it not been for my father. Because I wanted to go somewhere, and he said no. Don't know how he knew the danger I was about to get into. I had no clue, but he said no. And I look back, and those 3 guys that I would have been with that night, all 3 of them went to jail. I would have been there that night if it wasn't for my father. And so these are amazing stories that fathers, it's priceless. You can't put a price tag on it. But if they're absent, then just the opposite can happen. And that's why there's so many kids going astray now, because the absence of fathers. And it's amazing how society is looking for men to step up to the plate and be the father that and our kids and our women, man. These women want us to step up so bad, but they're trying to do this on their own. They can't do it. They wasn't designed to do it. They're not made to do it. But these women are trying to raise these young boys, not because they want to sometimes. It's because they have to. Because sometimes we are missing. And we out doing our own thing, and it's not healthy for
kids. Man. Oh, this is amazing. Randy was on earlier. I think his signal dropped a little bit, but he posted a really good question. He said, "What about kids with no fathers? What is our responsibility as a community to those kids?"
I don't want to. I'll let somebody else go first. I could talk all night, y'all. Y'all somebody else.
Well, I would say that part of my role in serving the community is being a father to the kids that I work with every day, to the kids that are in my youth ministry, to their friends. I actually do deal with kids that do have that kind of situation going on. And I have to make sure that I'm on my toes. I have to make sure that I'm being impactful, that I'm being encouraging, that I'm being uplifting, and also that I can tell them the absolute truth about life and their situations. I just recently had a young man come and talk to me and say, "Hey, this is the first time I've had a relationship with a youth pastor that wasn't trying to preach at me." I said, "At me," and
Right.
that really touched my heart because I didn't realize that me trying to relate to him, just trying to be cool with him and really allow him to talk and speak, I was able to give him an avenue to open up and share some things with me that he hadn't shared with his parents. And so, it just goes back to communication. We have to be vocal. We have to be out there. We have to strike up conversations with people that we don't know, with men we don't know. You never know what, and it's the same thing and I hate to take it back to the church, but it's the same thing with evangelism. You have to talk to people. You have to have conversations to see where people are, to see where your avenue is to share what you know. And, if we don't do something about this generation that is coming up now, my generation, the one beneath, we're going to really be lost.
Yeah, I think you're right. It reminds me of that slogan or phrase. I'm my brother's keeper, and if we really are our brother's keeper, and our brother is absent, we've got to definitely fill in that gap. And especially we as African American men, we as minority men, we definitely have to stand up because we've got here it is my father's generation, they kind of definitely stepped out the picture, and then my generation. Fatherhood is not a popular thing. And so here we are on a third, fourth generation of fathers just not being around. And I mean, what happens, 2, 3 generations down the line, when not every minority child, but most minority children, don't experience, what it's like to grow up with a father or just to, be around other kids that have fathers. I mean, I wish I knew the answer, but I think groups like this and and conversations like this can help solve a lot of the problems.
Yeah, I mean, for me, when you look at what do we do for the fatherless? I'll say it that way, right? What do we do for the fatherless? What I do is, like, say I come into contact with a group of them, which I actually did the other day. I had a conversation with 3 guys. I really don't know whether they have fathers, but I care, but I don't, if you understand what my point. My point is that I don't care whether you do. When I come in contact with you, I'm going to be that dude that's going to help you to see the world differently and to be able to progress utilizing things that I can give you in about 10 minutes. You know what I'm saying? In about 10 minutes, we have a conversation and I'm going to change your whole outlook on life. Because I don't know what you may do or what you were planning to do before you came into my presence. But once you got my presence, when you leave my presence, you will be changed.
I agree. I think what upgrade to me when she said about disagree with women who said it, I think I can't remember what she said about women who, and say they are fathers too. And I disagree with that too as well. I mean, there's nothing that takes the place of a man. There's nothing that takes the place of a father. And we have to do more to be surrogate fathers for those, women, kids who perhaps dad may be in jail or maybe, deceased or not around. We have to be, like Rich just said, more involved in just our own kids. Thank God for that. But we got to reach out to folks in the community and help this single mom, start to raise. The thing about mentoring sometimes, some guys join mentoring clubs because they want to find out. They want to pick up the single mom. They don't really want to mentor the kid. They want to pick up the single mom.
That's dirty.
It's sad. She's single and she wants a man, and nothing wrong with that. And they come in and they take advantage of her, and they pretend like they really want to be with the child, but they want to get another notch in their belt.
Child.
And that's another child. Yeah, and it happens. So we have to, get men who are really serious and committed to their relationship. At the same time, now they want to go out and be a surrogate father to this young boy who's struggling, this mom that's really trying to do the best she can. And we have to come up with programs that make that happen, because, again, we are causing these women to try to be the mom and the dad, and they can't do it. They're not designed to do it. We supposed to be.
I got a question for you,
and we got to figure out.
I got a question for you. So, do you think it is better for a mentor, right, one that's doing stuff with the single moms and all that kind of stuff? Do you think it's better for them to already have kids that are grown, or they have to have kids now? That way, they incorporate them with their own kids. You know what I mean? And not just be a single father. A single guy, not necessarily have kids, but a single guy, and they're just trying to help these kids out. You see what I'm saying? Like, what do you think is the best person to do that?
I mean, it would be nice if they're married and get their own family and they can incorporate the other child as a part of that. I'm not dismissing all single men and saying that they're out to get women. I'm not saying that at all. But I guess the organization have to really do the vetting and have to really set the ground rules and say, this is about the child. This is not about you, finding a notch in your belt. And I'm not saying that you might not meet a young lady and you fall in love and y'all. I'm not saying that either. But we have to be careful and to want and observe and make sure that these kind of things are not happening. Because I don't want to write up a single man who's really trying, who really wants to help. There are some other men who are married, and, they got a relationship and they're married and they want to find a girl on the side. So it's just not limited to single men. It's the person who's actually doing the mentoring. So, and the people in charge of the organization have to monitor that and make sure that those things are not going on. You can't stop everything. You're not controlling people, but you can, have some kind of vetting system and just kind of monitor, have a system in place that you understand this, and let it be healthy instead of a bad thing.
They need to make sure and watch is the fact of whether or not someone is what's the word I'm looking for now? Good God Almighty! What? Shoot! Forget it. I totally lost it because it seems.
No, I feel you. Yeah, and there are men out there like that, But there's some, my dad used to say, don't throw out the baby with the bathwater. You just gotta do the vetting and making sure and have ground rules and have things in place. And
what I was saying is the mentors, babysitters. You see what I'm saying? I think the other side of that is that they need the mothers, the single mothers who are bringing their youth, need to know that they're not babysitters. They're actually trying to instill some things. So you can't tell them. I mean, y'all have to come together, and I think there needs to be some kind of agreement on that side too, because you get a mother that says, "Don't listen to nothing they were saying." They ain't running your house. I'm running this house. You know what I'm saying? And so then you get a conflict, and the kid is confused.
Right. Exactly. And so that's why it has, and all these things are realistic problems that happen on a regular basis. And that's why you have to have a tight ship. And you have to constantly sit down with, the wife, the mom and the mentor, and making sure everybody on the same page. That needs to happen on a regular basis. Now, these are some good points. that needs to happen. And if it's really done right, you can have a very effective mentoring program that's very
Definitely.
effective for both the child and for the organization you're representing.
Ryan, are you able to speak?
Can you hear me?
Wow. Well, wonderful.
Crazy.
Now I know you posted the question earlier, and I want to make sure that we get to it. I know we're running short on time. I hope you guys are okay hanging around for a little bit. But Ryan, what was your question, man?
All right, so this is from the experience of me and my dad. My dad was always in my life. However, my biggest issue was that I felt like he wasn't there enough because he was there as a support system as far as financially. He did go to games and stuff like that, but I feel like he could have talked to me more. And so my question was, do you guys do you look in your kids' eyes and say, hey, what are some of the things that I could do as a father? What are some things I can do to be a better father? Or let me read go back up. And what are some things I'm doing wrong that I can fix to be a better father? And that causes some humility.
My kids are young, but with my almost 6-year-old, I really, I guess, try to have candid conversations with her like that, because even though she is young, she still can check me as a father, and she doesn't really have to say much, but just her facial expression sometimes lets me know if I'm up to par or not. I think what you're saying is awesome, because we as men oftentimes we have an ego, and our ego causes us to believe that we are the greatest at everything, and oftentimes we're, even though we may be in our child's life, we're still falling short, because how we may, it's just like the love languages, how we may decide to parent may not be the best way to parent. And it is paramount that we have conversations with our children about hey, am I fulfilling the need that you need for me to fulfill? Because I may feel that as long as I'm at your game and I'm giving you sneakers and you got something to eat, then that's all I need to do. Where all my daughter or my son may need is just for me to say to them I love them, or just to ask about their day. So that's a great point, man. That's an awesome point.
Yeah. And you kind of hit on the head for me, because honestly, the first thing that came to my mind was, man, I ain't about to ask my kids if I'm doing all right. I got this, and I think that's a natural response, but I do have those conversations with at least my older kids right now. I want to know, like my son was comfortable enough to come to me last weekend and say, my mama's getting on my nerves. And like, if I had said that to my dad, man, I'd be in the floor somewhere. But it was candid enough for me to be able to share with him and say, well, this is what's going on, ABCD, all of that, and it really made for a very, very good conversation. Normally when we have those conversations, some more often than not, they can be really, explosive is not the right word, but you know what I mean. So being able to kind of sit down across the table from him, and he's going through transition in his life with middle school and, maintaining a relationship with his dad. I really wanted to be intentional about what I said to him, so that, we could keep that line of communication open, and he feel like, hey, if I have an issue, I can come and talk to Travis. There's not an issue there. So I want to throw my 2 cents.
Yeah, from me, Travis, I don't think I've ever even asked that question to my kids. And I mean, all of mine are definitely old enough to understand it and all that. But I don't think I've ever asked that question. But I know I've instilled in them enough that say whatever it is on their mind. You know what I'm saying? So if they have an issue or they feel like something's not going right, then all they got to do is say it, But I mean, I think that is great question. I'll probably ask it to my already gone from the house. You know what I mean? So I'll ask her, hey, how do you think I did? Do you think I missed it? Because now you're experiencing life. So what do you think? And then get that feedback, because then maybe she can help me to be better for the other two.
But it's still not too late. Still not too late, because she's still your daughter, and so you can say, what can I do now as you've grown up? And I think your daughter she's in college, correct, Rich?
Right. I agree.
So it's not too late. She's your daughter for life. So
yeah.
That's right. Yeah, that's
you right.
So I think somebody asked. I think somebody asked a question a few minutes ago, made a comment about why do even when fathers are absent, that people still look at them as superheroes, which is it's a good question, and it's just something men fathers, we boys have to be a part of something. We have to be, that's why we could say, we talk about the football team like it's our football team. It's our, the Giants is ours, the Cowboys are ours, because we have to be a part of something. Women can go out and, they can go to the beach and hang out and read a book and be cool. Men don't get together unless there's a common need. We ain't gonna go hang out to the beach with you guys. We're not gonna go in the hotel and just sit down and read a book. Now we can go to the hotel and do something else, and we go to the hotel and go to the beach and hang out. But we ain't gonna be sitting in the room all day reading no book. But women can do that. But men, we have to be a part of something. So for little boys, the absence of fathers mean that they can't something that's missing in their life, and mom can't necessarily give it to them. And though they're not absent, they crave that so much that when they come, and the kid is like, I don't care what if I could just get a little piece of him, let me get it. They want that little piece, even if it's not a lot, because it means so much to them. And that's why I want to get guys to understand that you got to be there. If you absent, you live in the same different city. You got Facebook. You got, now you got Blab. You got all kind of stuff. Email that you communicate with your child, and you may not be able to be in the same city and be present with them, but you can make a difference. You can make a connection. You can let them know that you care about them, that you love them, that you're supportive of them. And you got to get along with the ex-wife to do that. And I tell God this is so important because these kids need their dad. And the kids look around when kids are playing football or whatever. These boys are looking in the stands. Where's my dad? All the other dads are there. Where's my dad?
Mm-hmm.
And moms are there. She's supporting. But where's dad?
Yeah.
So that was a very good comment. And I want to tell guys, just watch your kid and be around them and see the difference that they make when you're present. It makes all the difference in the world.
This is really, really great dialogue, guys. I know we're having some issues with that last seat, so hopefully we can get this together before we wrap up. What I wanted to do, okay, good. So it's not just me; everybody's saying it. Every child needs that male figure in their life. I guess what we could kind of call, if anybody else doesn't have anything, the closing question I would pose to you guys is, Brian said something. He posted a question that really touched my heart because of how passionate I am about fatherhood. Oh, there we go. Michael's joining the seat. Welcome, Michael. How you doing?
All right.
Ryan asked,
how am I still in this seat then?
Hey, let's roll with it, man. Ryan asked the question, how can a man be a father when it's not in his DNA? Now, I know how y'all going to answer that, so I'm going to let The question was, how can a man be a father when it's not in his?
So what I understand is how can you expect someone else to raise your child who's living under the house of under the roof of of the mother of your child if it's not in their blood to love them, right?
Let's roll with it.
Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, let's roll with it.
Like, how do you expect a stepdad to go in, take on all the roles and say, "Oh yeah, I'm your dad," and then, you know, when your child comes back to you and says, "Hey, here I am, but I don't understand who you are anymore because he's my dad."
That is somewhat of a reality in my house. Just somewhat, you know. The opportunity that my oldest son has, he has two dads in his life. He has his biological father. He spends a lot of time with him, and he spends time with me. And you know, it was hard in the beginning. You know, the prayer over our marriage was that no outside forces would be able to come in and tear down what we have. And you know, it certainly tried to happen. But you know, the thing for me, the thing that helped smooth out our friendship was just us being able to spend time with Isaiah, with my son. The first thing that we did all together, me, him, and his dad, we packed up in the car and we drove to DC for a Redskins Giants game, and we had a great time. And never once did it get awkward, like, you know, hey, dads. You know, it was never awkward. It was just us guys getting together and hanging out. And, you know, Isaiah still talks about it to this day. Now, I want him over to be a Giants fan, and that's the real victory. But, you know, it can be a tense situation because we all have that natural instinct to take over, to do, and to be. And so when that is shared, it's a problem. I went through it with my daughter. It was a problem for me because I like to think, without sounding arrogant, I am a good father. And, you know, when I had to come to the understanding that somebody else is going to be spending time with her, the first time she called him dad, it really broke my heart because that's my title. Right. You know, I work for that, you know, and to hear her say that really put me in a different place. And I had to kind of come to a place where I understood that as long as my daughter's needs are being met, she knows who daddy is. She knows who Travis is. She knows that, you know, without a shadow of a doubt, she can call me anytime and I'm there for her. And so there's a lot of, even though we are the male figure and we are the one that possesses the quote unquote takeover type gene, we got to be willing to make this work in the spirit of everything that it is.
Amen. Yeah, you know, there's this whole concept that is going around that's being pushed and pushed and pushed by the mass media, that there's this idea and this concept of a blended family, and it when you break it down and you look at all the different layers that exist that a child has to go through when they're dealing with being the product of separation or divorce. I mean, there's so many different layers that a child has to go through, and the level of support that a father has these days when it comes to being able to be acknowledged as in the eyes of the child that they ought to. I mean, we have this idea that there's this image of the like the father that just disappears and that just never was there. We have this image of this father who, like, you know, just didn't want to be a part of the child's life. And that's the stigma that's placed on these children's minds, as though this is the way that every man is, and you need to believe this about who your father is. And these are the messages that our children are receiving. Our children are receiving these messages that You know, it's the there's no such thing as a woman who is alienating the father from the picture. It's only the man who's distancing himself. So, I mean, where do we find that you know, like where is our place when it comes to being able to maintain that relationship if we're constantly being alienated?
That's a great question for these two men.
I wanted to say, I tell the guys that I work with on a regular basis that, you know, when your ex-wife, your ex-relationship, when y'all got separated, both of you still parents. Now, she's going to get a guy friend. You're going to get a girlfriend. Or perhaps both of you are going to get married. And so at some point in time, the biological father need to go talk to this man who's now living in a house with his daughter or his son and say, you know, we're not going to hang out together. We might not be good to go to the basketball. You know, that's good. But we may not hang out together. We might not do anything together. But I want you to know this one thing, that I'm the kid's father. I'm not, you know, number one, you don't have to worry about me and the ex-wife anymore. You don't have to be intimidated with that. That's over. My own concern right now is my daughter or my son or my kids. And we're both now in this relationship together. And I just want you to know that this is my son, and I'm going to be there with them. I'm going to talk to them. I'm going to love them. I'm not going to try to disrespect you and tell you how to win your house, but you can't abuse my child. And most men respect that. Most men understand that, you know, because you're not threatening him. You're not, you know, going out and trying to, because sometimes this particular man could be a surrogate. So when your ex-wife get mad with you and she wants you to see your child, he could be the one to say, man, let the man see the child. You know, all of these things make a difference. Because there's a lot of women, a lot of kids going to bed now wrapped up in 2 or 3 different pair of pajamas because the new boyfriend or the new ex-husband now is abusive. And he's trying to do the mom and the daughter. But if she don't have nobody safe that she can go and talk to and say, hey, Dad, this is going on, because Dad is so mad that he cut her off. She needs to know at any given time, I could call my dad and talk to him about anything. And that man needs to know as well that this guy is present in his daughter's life. And I may not step over the line, because if I do, I might meet some resistance that I don't like. So that's that mutual understanding that, you know, this is my little girl.
Right.
This is my little boy.
Yeah.
No monkey business. This is what it's about. I'm there for her. I'm there for him. And again, this is not threatening. This is just being neutral. This is just being respectful for one another, and that makes all the difference in the world. If we have
the problem with that, Glenn, is that we live in a society where you, as a father, can do everything in your power to be there, and even with every ounce of effort and every ounce of energy that you put into being there and into making yourself available, you can be alienated to the point in that child's mind that you have no say in the understanding of the role that you have in that child's life.
But you know what that does, Michael? That gives you the opportunity to make your time with that child very, very useful. You know, when my daughter was going through this, you know, I'm calling both of these guys daddy phase. You know, that bothered me. That hurt me to my heart, because, you know, fatherhood is something I've been looking forward to since I was a young child. I know that sounds really weird, but I used to stay up real late at night listening to The Quiet Storm, and about, you know, all the songs were about romance and love, and, you know, that's where I went with it. And so, you know, when I finally got the opportunity to be a father, I wasn't going to let anybody stand in between that. Now, the first 7 years of her life were terrible. They were terrible for her mother and I's relationship. But I'm determined that if my daughter gets any kind of information about me, about, you know, my past or who I used to be, it's going to come from my mouth. And so I've created an avenue for her to be able to talk to me, so that if there's a situation where, hey, something is said about me at, you know, Timbuktu's house, you know, we can have that open dialogue that says, hey, you know what? This is Daddy, this is what was said to me and I don't understand it. Can you tell me about it? And that starts as early as possible, because you are absolutely right. We are fighting a battle every single day to be relevant in our children's lives because of, bitterness, anger, disappointment, spite, whatever. But at the end of the day, you have to use every window you have to make sure you're intentional about how you spend that time with your child.
I think it goes beyond just bitterness and anger and spite. I think that women today have been put in a situation where feminism is no longer what it once was, a movement that was designed to bring equality to women, that was designed to bring equal rights in terms of voting and equal rights in terms of the things that really matter. That was the first wave of feminism. Right now, the third wave of feminism is a completely different ball game. And what feminism once was, it's no longer. And what it's turned women into has destroyed women. It's destroyed their ability to even function as women and to identify with their own femininity. It's destroyed their ability to see the value and virtue of being a woman and identify the value and virtue of being a man. I mean, we live in a world now where if you have any opinion about the idea of a child being destroyed in the last term of pregnancy, then you are in some way violating that. You want something to do with a woman's vagina. Like a head has something to do with. We were all born with one head, and now we've got another head inside of us, and now I want something to do with your vagina because I have an opinion about abortion. I mean, we've gotten to a place in our society today where a woman, my own wife, God bless her, we've gone through some real hard times, and she's stuck by me, and I thank God for her every day. And she is an amazing woman who defies the laws that exist in this world, and she trusts God. She looks to the Word, and she looks to identity in who she is in God. And I don't know what I would do if it weren't for her. But I do know even then, even in her striving to seek after God's face, that she is affected every day by third wave feminism. And I think there's a force and a power behind that is beyond my knowledge, beyond her knowledge, and has a spiritual stronghold over our society and our culture. And if you have an opinion about it, if you even want to say that it's something that you're willing to vote on, then you suddenly become identified as a single issue voter. Oh, well, then you only want to vote about abortion. I mean, it's like if a woman is alienating you as a father from your child who you care just as deeply about, then the label of being a deadbeat mother should not be so foreign. Why is it that every man is the only one who can be labeled a deadbeat? Why is it that we have this image in our head that men are the deadbeats and women aren't? Can a woman be a deadbeat?
And I think I agree with you, and I think that's what we're all trying to redefine. Just not giving opportunity for us to even be looked at that way. And I think that's the beautiful thing about today's society of men that have chosen to be there. I think the idea is that women will be there because they had the child, and we know that that's not always the case, but that's generally the assumption,
right?
And that's the reason why it's that way. But at the end of the day, I think that this generation of men, fathers that are raising up, actually see the opportunity for change and want to be that agent of change, and they're actually okay with defining the odds. See, anybody can say anything they want about me, but what they will never be able to say truthfully is that I'm a bad father.
That's right.
And you can take that you can go wherever you want. You can call me the ugliest dressing man in the entire world. But at the end of the day, my children, and that's the only opinion that matters, my children know that I am for them. Jeff, I want to give you a chance, man. I know you jumped on real quick. I want you to.
Okay, guys, I'm going to step out and let somebody else take
Thank
the
you,
seat.
man.
I really appreciate it.
We got to connect.
Really appreciate it. Yes. Okay, we got to connect. Okay.
How's everybody doing? Conversation has been great tonight. Fathers are definitely important. And I mean, this is well needed and greatly appreciated. Travis, thank you so much for the opportunity. A lot of things have already been said tonight. But one thing I think that the fathers have to do is we have to those things that we say to our children. Children they listen to our words, but they do as we do. So we have to be those fathers that's in their lives, every single aspect of their life, not just the beginning, but every aspect. We need to be there for the doctor visits. We need to be there for, the first day of school. We need to be there if it's any troubles at school, not just to send their mom, but the dad need to be there also. It's many times I have to go to juvenile court. I have to sit in on different cases. And, you might have a 13-year-old boy there, and he has his mom there. He'll have an aunt there. He'll have his grandmother there. But then there's no father. So we're trying to figure out what's wrong with this child. And we're going through all these things to figure out what's wrong with his child. The only thing you have to do is stop and say, hey, where's his dad? And then that's what the problem is right there. We have to be there in every aspect of their life. And the fathers now have to start erasing the label of the deadbeat dad. I think it's our responsibility to erase, that label and show the world, what real fathers look like. And I think this is also an avenue to show the world what real fathers look like. How many segments you see, let's just look at TV. For instance, we have during the daytime, we have a lot of talk shows where you have maybe 4 or 5 women on the panel talking about issues. Where let's have a talk show about five males on the panel and talking about different issues, talking about the issues of today's society, talking about just racial issues, talking about political issues. And for someone to see male men on a stage talking about these issues will open up things not just to our young men, but also to our daughters and our sisters. We can probably, as men, we probably know 5 women right now that either not in a relationship, in a bad relationship, or coming out of a bad relationship. And so what is that saying? Is that saying that every man they run into is bad? And that's just some of those things that we have to start changing as men. We can change those things just by having general conversation with somebody on our. We can have general conversations with our brothers. We can have a general conversation with our father. And telling them, we have to start holding each other accountable. And of course, I know Travis. If Travis saw me do something, that was out of order with my wife, I truly believe him being a man and a father will step in and pull me to the side and say, Jeff, what you did was totally wrong. And I feel like you should correct those things and do it differently. And that's what we need to start doing.
Amen.
Go ahead, Michael.
I was just going to ask you, what would you say if I told you that the label of a deadbeat dad only exists to bring us to esteem the single mother in a higher light?
I would say that was almost true. Let me say this.
I'm not saying that there aren't one-off situations where men, I'm sure there are a number of cases where men are just alleviating themselves their responsibility altogether. But I guess what I'm really trying to get at is the image that we have in our head, the picture that we've painted as society has told us about the deadbeat dad is far greater in terms of the percentages than we really want to be able to identify with, because what that means is that dads do care, and more often than not, they may not have actually been given the chance to care.
Well, I've learned a lot through the job that I have now. I am the Pitt County Fatherhood Program Coordinator, and I've just begun to see fathers in another light, and even mothers in another light, because now I have to deal with things on the legal side. I have to go to child support court, at least 3 times a week.
Well, that's an example.
Yes.
That's an example of you not being given a chance to care, because you've got to go through these legal barriers.
Well, no, it's not that. It's not that you have to go through these legal barriers. It's that you have chosen to go through these legal barriers. For example, I've sat on cases where a young man was $14,000 behind in child support. Now, would you label him as a deadbeat dad?
If he's paying child support?
No, if he's not paying child support.
Yeah, I guess I would.
Okay, so that's a deadbeat dad.
But I would also say that if we're getting the labels, like Upgrade Me just accused me of being obsessed with, or To Mike Gar. Let's see, who said that I forget about the labels? If we're getting the labels, though, then a woman can be just as much of a deadbeat mom. A woman who's an alienator, who alienates their child from their father, is a deadbeat mom.
Absolutely. But I think the end goal is for us to decide that is not going to be the case. Now, I understand that there's the point is that we're all pointing the blame. Right. And the thing about it is, we can sit here and we can point fingers until we're blue in the face. And that's not what we're trying to achieve tonight. What we're really trying to achieve is solutions on how, and that's really why I posted what I just posted. I really want to know, what you are going to do moving forward to be that father. And I want to, if you don't mind, Jeff, I want to hear from Jay, because he just got in the seat. How you doing, Jay?
Hey, what's up? Hey, I love the conversation. You guys are touching on a nerve, that I've experienced a bunch of stuff with my ex. I went through the whole court system battles and everything, custody war, you name it. I mean, it's all over the place. One thing I will say, though, that mothers do have the upper hand in the court systems. Right. It's just that way. I know in California here where I live, it's very apparent. No matter what you do or say, if mom doesn't want you to see those kids, you're not going to see those kids. They're going to tell the mom, you should let those kids see their dad. But let's say, I've been in situations where I call my ex up and I'm like, hey, I want to come see the kids. I'm going to pick them up. And it was like, well, they don't want to see you today.
Right.
What? Like, okay, that doesn't make sense. The last time we had a great time. So I take her to court because I'm not seeing them for a while, because she keeps saying they don't want to see me. We go to court and they say, well, if the kids don't want to see you, they don't want to see you. It's cut and dry. Okay. And then they'll say, we'll talk to the kids. Well, mom's already gotten it in their head. Hey, you don't want to see dad, right? No, we don't want to see dad. They don't want to see me. That happened for a while. And then it ended up where the real situation came out. In my situation, this happened anyway. He was dating an abusive man that was abusing my kids. Okay. they were scared. They did not want me to know about this situation. Okay.
Right.
And until one day they ran away with baseball-sized bruises on their backs to my house.
Yeah.
That's when the court systems finally decided to go with Dad. Okay. That's when it all turned around and I got my kids. Got custody back in 2007. And I'll remember that date forever because that was just, it blew my mind, everything about it. But yeah, I got my kids since then and I've had them ever since. And now they're grown. Two of them are grown, well-adjusted people, young men. And it was just a bad situation that I don't wish on any father, man whatsoever. But I've always tried to be there for my kids. And they know that. They had cell phones and stuff. I used to try to talk to them. They would ignore me. And they told me when I got custody of my kids, they were scared. They were threatened. And the problem is, like he's saying too, mothers have that ability in the court systems to keep the children away from the fathers. That's total truth. That happens. It happened with me, so I know. And I'm not a bad guy. I don't have any felonies. I don't have any arrest record or anything. I'm a good dude. Go to work all the time. Pay my child support. I did all of it. But then 2007, that was all reversed, and I was getting the child support. So unfortunately, nothing happened with the man. But that aside, over the years, I've come to just forgive everything and let it rest because I didn't want my mind stirring. I didn't want to keep, thinking about it and just, kind of mulling over it all the time. So I forgave everything and let it rest. I didn't forget, but I just let it rest because you have to in life. You can't let it get to you. And it was better for my kids and better for myself, and they still have a relationship with Mom. Unfortunately, she's still with that man.
Wow.
So they don't really see her, but they talk to her. So, but they're young men now, and they're not afraid of that man anymore because they're pretty big kids, pretty big young men, I should say. So
I think there's a lot of truth to the saying that alienation is when a child is alienated from their parents, and alienation occurs when the parents hate each other more than they love their own child. And there's this quote by Judge Judy. I'm sure you guys all know Judge Judy. I'd love to read to you if you don't mind. She says, American fathers are led down a primrose path every day in our family courts, often with disastrous legal results. They wind up in the land of gender bias, where they are systematically stripped of their rights, often without the slightest idea of why it is happening to them. If you think about the mother-father disparity, it is outrageous. Consider the sexual abuse syndrome and how it affects the visitation and custody disputes. Here, the judicial impotence and chronic blindness to men's rights would appall you. Courts are supposed to approach cases of child custody, support payments, and visitation rights in what we call a gender-neutral posture. It sounds fair, and it is fair, but it is a myth. Judges are not enforcing these gender laws fairly, and few seem to care. We will see more of these problems, until fathers organize to demand fairer treatment. So get it together, dads. You have a legitimate legal beef, and you need to make this a public issue. Right now, the courts don't hear you.
Mm-hmm.
Spot on. And with that, I mean, that leads perfectly into our commitment. If we could just, as we get ready to close tonight, because this has been on almost 2 hours, if we can just kind of, if you guys don't mind, just share one thing that you're going to commit to in your walk of becoming a better father. And I think that'll be a blessing to everybody. So if you've been on camera tonight, as the seat pops open, just jump back in so we can really close this thing out the right way. My goal is for us to be encouraging, and
yeah, I'll say mine real quick before I jump off. And I thank you for letting me come on and tell a little bit of my story. That's just a small little part. But anyway, I just want to say that I think I've started my path, okay, back in 2007. And that is to just be there for my children whenever and wherever possible, you know. I think that and forgiving and letting all that go was a big step into getting that done and being able to be there for my children 100% completely. And I will continue to do that. And no matter how old I get and how old they are, you know, they're my babies all the time, you know, forever. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to continue that path of positivity and forgiveness and just keep going on and being there for my children. So thanks.
Thank you, Jay. I appreciate that, man. Michael?
I just want to recommend, there's a 4-minute YouTube video from our Arsenio Hall show a couple of years back by Prentice Powell, and it was his experience of what he went through with his own child, and he did this amazing verbal presentation that I think will blow your mind. So go check it up, look it up on YouTube. Okay, I'll try to post it here. If there's anything that I can improve upon, I would say that I can be grateful for the fact that I am still with the mother of my children, and I can be compassionate about the challenges that she faces in a world where third wave feminism and radical feminists are trying to tell her messages, and Satan is trying to drill these messages into her head that men are scum and the men are worthless, and that I have no value in my children's lives.
Amen. And if you don't mind me saying, I'll be praying for you, man.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Jeff?
Just like to say, fatherhood is a mentality. It goes beyond blood. One thing I've really learned is that fathers need to begin to become fathers. And let's grab the responsibility, you know, and hold on to the responsibility and show the entire world that it can begin with one and spread to millions. So the question is, are you willing to be that one? Are you willing to be the first one to grab hold of the mentality of, I'm going to be a father no matter what it takes, no matter what it costs me? I'm willing to be the best father I can be to my children and to whoever else may have their eyes upon me. Because we never know who's looking in the neighborhood at us, you know, in our churches at us, on our jobs at us. You know, for example, I'm 43, and if I'm working with a 20-year-old, then that 20-year-old can look at me and see me as a father. So I have to be willing to have the mentality of being a father every single day of my life. Thank y'all so much, and I am getting ready to exit out. So upgrade. What's that? Upgrade to me and have a seat. Thank y'all so much for your time.
Are we closing up here, Travis?
Yeah, we had three other seats filled, and I want to kind of get them in to help us close out.
Okay, I'll sign out too, so you have an extra seat.
I appreciate you, man. Rich.
Well, I mean, my final word into one word would definitely mean to love. You have to love your kids. Despite their faults, when you show the love of Christ to them on a daily basis, you know, in the way that you respect them, the way that you treat them, the way that you groom them, the way that you, just as simple as being able to, pray. Huge foundation to grow up on as they're little, and you continue to do it on those same behaviors and that same style of parenting, so you have to literally just went to jail for something stupid and you go pick them up, you still got to love them. Decision by having.
Oh man, you keep breaking in and out.
Did you?
Yeah. I hear you now.
I'm still here. Can you hear me? Decisions in your actions.
Give us a good one-liner, because I think your signal, it keeps saying your signal is poor.
Yeah, man. I don't know what's on my signal. Okay. Yeah. I said they didn't choose to be here.
Well, we tried, y'all. We tried. I know I want to hear it too, because type it, Rich. Type your word in, and then we'll let Ryan go give his words on his commitment.
So everybody says some great things. I'm going to commit to understand. With all that get understanding. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to do my best to understand my self first. I need to know myself. Well, I need to know God. Make sure I understand God in all his ways. I need to understand my wife because she is my partner. I need to understand my children and what are the things that are going around. What things are going to hinder them from being who God has called them to be, and what are some things that are going to propel them to be what God has called them to be. Also, I'm going to understand on who should be in my children's life and who should not, and where they should go and where they shouldn't go. Because if I do those things, I'm just going to set them up for either failure or I'm going to set them up for success. So I need to understand a plethora of things. So that's what I plan on.
Love it, man. Love it. Ion, what you got, man?
My commitment is to never ever take this thing for granted, because it's so important, and I really, I've reflected over this blab, and there have been times when I've taken my role for granted, but no more can I take my position for granted. I'm in my child's life for a reason, and God put me here, and the same love and grace that He shows me, I've got to show them every single day.
Love it, man. I think we might have lost Randy, but I'll just go ahead and close us out and say that being a father is an amazing opportunity. It's something that I will cherish every day of my life, and my commitment moving forward is to better manage my time so that I can do things and continue to do things and continue to speak things into my kids' life, not even behind closed doors, but to their face, giving them the verbal confirmation that they know who they are. I tell my daughters every day that they're beautiful, and I mean it, and I want them to tell me what I'm getting ready to say, because I want it to get inside of them. I tell my sons that they're strong, because I want them to understand that they are strong. My commitment is to speak life and not death into my children. I hope you guys really enjoyed the show. This is actually my first time hosting my own blab, but there is obviously a need, and we got to keep doing this. So please stay looking out for more of these types of conversations. I think we lost was Fathers Forever, but he has an amazing organization here in Raleigh, North Carolina. Ion has a great organization in Durham, North Carolina. There's a lot of things going on around here and across the world that are bridging the gap between fathers and children. And thank you all for your support. You can follow me on Twitter at Travis Bailey. I'll post a link real soon when we get it published on YouTube. God bless you and good night.
Great job, brother. Great job.
Whew.